Hey guys, welcome back to my videos. If you're new, I am currently reading through all of Batman's comics. Not all of them, but a kind of chronological list that I made myself. And I wanted to make a video because I have finally read through the first 10 comics on that list. And of course, everyone wants to know, how would I rate them 1 through 10, right? I'm starting off with 10, my least favorite, to 1, my most favorite. And I want you guys to know I enjoyed all of these except for one, which is in 10. I enjoyed all of these. Me rating them low does not mean I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed reading every single one of these. So to start off, I'm going to start with 10, the one comic I didn't really enjoy, and that is Batgirl Year One. By the way, the list was like a Batman / Robin list. So 10 is Batgirl Year One. This is the one that I can honestly say I did not enjoy reading at all. I feel like it was so out of place. Like, she's mad at her dad, and her villain is Mothman. After reading like The Long Halloween and Dark Victory and Robin Year One, it didn't fit. I have heard that Barbara Gordon, her character, does get better in a different position. I don't remember. I haven't gotten there, and I don't remember what people called her. And then there are better Batgirls out there, so I'm excited to dive into that. I just don't think this one was for me. Didn't really enjoy it. They kind of just made her really annoying, and I feel like we barely got any of Barbara Gordon or Batgirl, even though we were in her perspective. I feel like we got way more of like Mothman. So yeah. The comic that I have in the spot 9 is I think it's called The Cult or Batman Cult. I can't remember. This one was interesting. I will say I really enjoyed the art. The art was very different from anything I've ever read or anything I've ever seen. It was very experimental. It did add to what I didn't like about it, and that is it felt like a fever dream. It was so bizarre. And I mean, it was interesting to see how like this fever dream of a story that we were going through was, what's the word, aided by the art. That's probably not the right word, but to kind of give us that feeling of being drugged the same way that like Batman is drugged and how he's brainwashed. It was very interesting, just not my favorite. I didn't feel good reading it. I also hated seeing Batman so like weak and broken. It wasn't fun to read. It was very like dark and gory. I feel like the darkest one I've read from Batman so far, even though a lot of these do get dark and they do get gory and intense. I feel like this one, like the whole thing was intense. Yeah, it just didn't make me feel good reading. My number 8 is Nightwing Year One. Honestly, it's not that I didn't enjoy this. It was just so short. I feel like it wasn't long enough to really leave an impact or an impression on me. I did really enjoy getting to see Dick Grayson and Clark Kent. I like seeing Superman be a good uncle to Dick Grayson, and seeing how he had a part in the name Nightwing. So that was really cool. But other than that, yeah, it's just super short. I feel like nothing else really happened. My number 7 now is Robin Year One. Now, this is where we get to the point where it's kind of difficult to say like this is number 7 out of 10, because this is where I've really enjoyed these comics. I just, I enjoyed the other ones more. So Robin Year One, I loved. I really have nothing bad to say about it. I cried multiple times reading it. I really enjoyed that we were in Alfred's perspective. So we got his perspective on Bruce and his perspective on Dick Grayson. And I really liked how we got to see Dick Grayson in and out of like the Robin persona. We got to see him in school and how he was holding up with everything and just living his actual life, not just being out there fighting crime as Robin. So that was really cool and interesting. Nothing really negative to say about it. I just really enjoyed all these other ones more. 6 is Robin Reborn Volume 1. Um, the only thing I would say that I don't love about it is it's old. This is like a Robin Reborn Volume 1 is actually like the last one I just read, and it is like the fourth comic in a row that's like really old. I think this is like the 90s, but like everything I read before is from the 40s. And I'm not that that's bad. I just would like to read more modern comics. So that's me. That's not the comic. The comic was good. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I think Tim Drake is a very interesting Robin. Um, Definitely a more mature mind than the other Robins, but by that I mean just seems like he has a lot to carry on his shoulders the same way that the other Robins had, but it has clearly affected him differently. Like, even when his parents are kidnapped and killed, he's still constantly reminding himself to not get angry and to think rationally and to be reasonable. So that's a lot for a 13-year-old to do and to handle those emotions, which I don't think he's handling them. And we kind of see that. And then just his struggle with, does he want to put on the Robin suit? Does he not? He's scared? Why is he scared? What does he do with that? And does he deserve to be Robin? What if he lets Batman down? And all this, putting all of this responsibility on himself. And just, I found that very interesting. And also, he's insanely smart. He's like this kid genius. So it was very interesting. I don't really have anything negative to say about it other than it's another old comic, and it's the I hope the next one, I think the next comic I read is Batman Hush. I haven't looked it up. I hope it's more modern than the 90s. Definitely more modern than the 40s. Yeah. Okay. Number 5, we're now at our top 5. These I truly feel I felt in my soul while I was reading them. And honestly, most of these are going to be comics I read after really getting into the characters of Batman and Robin. So I feel like that kind of helps with how close these are to my heart. Like, I have love and affection for these characters at this point, for most of them, not all of them. So at spot number 5, I have A Death in the Family. Also, pairing it with A Lonely Place of Dying. I've seen these listed separately, but what I read on the DC app, this was paired in one like volume. So I read this together. So I'm putting it together in spot number 5. This was a really tough one to read. The first half, where it's more about Jason Todd's death, it was a really tough read. I didn't love I hate the Joker. Anytime the Joker's like in there, I don't love reading it. So I didn't like that whole conflict. It made me uncomfortable. It's definitely outdated. Obviously, I think like the Cult too, Second Chances, like a few of these are definitely outdated. So that's for both of them, for A Death in the Family and A Lonely Place of Dying, definitely outdated. So, but also with the added factor of it being with the Joker, I was very uncomfortable. I hate the Joker. And then it was really tough to read Jason's death. I mean, the whole conflict of him struggling a lot with his parents' death, which I feel like with Dick Grayson, we didn't get too much of that. And then Bruce, we don't see too. I think in certain comics we see more, and that's more in depth, like his emotions about it. But I feel like we don't get too much of that struggle, because I feel like Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, we kind of see the aftermath of them dealing with the toughest part of those emotions. And then with Jason Todd, we finally see like a kid that lost their parents and is now fighting crime, like what that does. Like, he's angry, he doesn't understand how to deal with his emotions, and already before he had a tough he was living not on the streets but in this abandoned apartment with nothing, and he was stealing to sell stuff to get money to be able to continue living. Like, he did not have an easy life before and after the death of his parents. And we see him afterwards struggle with those feelings and trying to understand why he's so angry and just what to do. And what he ends up doing is trying to find his real mother, because he finds out that the person he thought was his mom was not. And when he finally finds his mom, his real mom, oh my God, the part where she betrays him. Oh, like that's, I feel like that's the part I felt more like I felt my heart break in that part more than his death, which I know doesn't make sense, but just seeing the struggle that Jason Todd was going through and then seeing that relief and happiness that he had finding his mom and then doing absolutely putting his life on the line to save her and then her being the reason he dies. I don't think we even really see like the betrayal that he feels. Like he continues like saving her and being there for her and trying to help her. Oh my God, but the scene of just his death was so like I read it and then I had to stop reading and just stare at a wall. It made me like feel sick. And then when Batman finds him, oh, and then at the end of this volume that I read, by the way, they put like an alternate scene of Batman saying like, "Oh my God, he has a pulse, like he's alive." Rude, jail, get out of here. What was that? That was not nice. Um, but yeah, so the scene where Batman finds Robin and he like the last panel I think is like him holding him to his chest and crying. I'm gonna cry now. What was I supposed to do with that? Why did you do that to me? You didn't have to show me that. What was I supposed to do? That broke me. Um, and then seeing the rage and anger and just recklessness that Batman throws himself into feels so heartbreaking as well, because at that point you have so much love and affection for Batman and Bruce Wayne, and you care for him and you've seen his struggles and his ups and downs, and you've seen his relationship with Jason Todd, and you can understand how much that affected him. And I love how that is what we see, and it goes into when Tim Drake is introduced and he is explaining why Batman needs Robin. There is no Batman without Robin. Batman cannot exist without Robin, and discussing the symbol that has been created and what the fact that it's not just because everyone sees Robin, and if they know that a bad guy killed Robin, then they're going to feel emboldened that they can kill anyone. You know, they can do anything, they can commit any crime, they don't have to listen to anyone, they don't have to be scared. And it completely defeats the purpose of the Batman. But the fact that it's like Batman needs balance, Batman will end up killing himself without Robin, and to have someone to ground him and to have someone to care about, because clearly Batman and Bruce Wayne has so much trouble caring for themselves and caring for their own safety. It seems more like methodical. I think that's a word. Like it's more logical why Bruce Wayne cares about his safety and his livelihood when he's the Batman. It's because he needs to get the criminal. He needs to fight the crime, not because he needs to protect his life. But when he has Robin, he's more careful because he needs to make sure Robin is okay as well. And then Robin in turn makes sure that Batman is okay. And he always has Batman's back. And he is a second person so that Batman does not need to spread himself thin. Love it. I'm gonna cry. I'm really loving this. I honestly did not expect to have such affection for these characters. Anytime I'm like, whatever, I like Batman now, but whatever, not that serious. I'll read something and I'm like, why am I crying? Like it'll be like a panel of Bruce Wayne laughing and I'm like, he deserves it. Number 4, and I know people are gonna think it's ridiculous that this is 4, but I lead with my heart. 4 is Dark Victory. I really, really enjoyed this. This is the first, I read the Long Halloween like trilogy first. That is my introduction to Batman. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the end, especially where Dick Grayson is introduced. The scene where Batman takes off his mask and unveils himself to Dick Grayson so that Dick Grayson can know that there's someone that has trust in him. Oh, that was my first, like, I love this man. This is, I need to keep, I cannot quit. I need to keep going. That was my first instance, right, of my brain clicking, or I'm like, I need to keep reading. I need Batman. I need to keep where I need more Batman. Oh my god. That scene gave me chills. That was the first time that I was like crying, and I'm like, what is this? I feel like it had such a beautiful ending to that whole trilogy, because I read Haunted Night, then Long Halloween, then Dark Victory, and then I also read Catwoman in Rome, but I'm not including that in this. Neither Haunted Night. Yeah, so I feel like it was just a beautiful ending to the crazy chaos and stress of the Long Halloween and the first part of Dark Victory. But I really enjoyed it. I have nothing bad to say about it. The other three that I'm going to talk about, it's in there. Number 3, the Long Halloween. What can I say about this that has not already been said, and that I haven't already said? Because I do have a video where I talk about the Long Halloween trilogy, if you want to watch it. This was a beautiful introduction to not just Batman the character, but what Batman comics are, the detective aspect of Batman. I've had so much fun with that. I feel like a lot of what I read too, yes, because they're older, has been primarily focusing on Batman as a detective and trying to solve mysteries and stuff, especially what I'm reading now with the introduction of Tim Drake. I've really enjoyed it. So I feel like the Long Halloween was just the perfect introduction. Yes, I should have read Batman Year One first. I still haven't read it. I will. But the fact that I got so much of who Batman is and what Batman is, like, I got everything. I got a little bit of everything in here, and I feel like that was perfect. So I feel like the Long Halloween is just a perfect story. No negatives, no notes. Amazing. My number 2. We're talking top 2 now. My number 2 spot goes to Batman Second Chances. I don't want to say we got him having a complicated father-son relationship with Dick Grayson, and him being all moody by Dick Grayson leaving him. Like, I feel like Second Chances really gave us family man Bruce Wayne. And I love that so much. This is where I got to see Bruce Wayne smile, laugh, call them son, have a complicated conversation with Dick Grayson about him as a father and their relationship, and being Robin and what that means, and then the introduction to Jason Todd. And that was a whole very interesting story. I haven't really been talking about like villains and the action. I'm not reading Batman for the action or the fighting, or I mean, some of the villains, like the stories that we get, are interesting. I'm not reading it for that. I'm reading it for the drama, for the family dynamics, for the love, for the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman and Robin and the individual Robins and all of that. That is what I am reading it for. So Second Chances, we got family man Bruce Wayne, and I absolutely loved it. I got to see Jason Todd get introduced, and the complicated way that was brought on, and Bruce Wayne really confronting his emotions with having a Robin and losing a Robin and finding a new Robin and being a father and being Bruce Wayne to these like, what am I trying to say? Like, being Batman to Robin, but also being Bruce Wayne to Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne to Jason Todd, and what that means, and Alfred's perspective on it, and then Jason Todd finding Dick Grayson, and Dick Grayson kind of giving him some sort of guidance. And I love at the end letting Dick Grayson lets him know, listen, I've been where you are. I understand what it is to deal with that guy, that asshole. Call me when you need someone to talk to. I've been through everything that you've been through. Trust me, I'm there. Don't worry about it. And them, I forgot, I think it's Two-Face that they're fighting, that they deal with that whole thing, and it's part of the test for to see if he can be Robin. Everything about that comic, I loved it so much. I did not want it to end. When it ended, I was so sad, and I was also surprised. I was reading it on the app, and I was just swiping, reading, and then it just ended. I was like, rude. So loved it. Now, my number one was Batman Ego and Other Tales. I love this, honestly, simply for the fact that this is my first time reading in Bruce Wayne's head. This is where we finally got his perspective, where I finally got his perspective, where I was able to finally be in Bruce Wayne's head and understand who he is. Because I feel like everything I read before this, it was all in someone else's perspective. It was all in someone else looking into what's going on, or it was Bruce Wayne just talking about like what's going on in a very objective manner. This is where we really got to see him question himself and talk about his feelings and talk about his struggles. And I love seeing that, just that wasn't being ignored, that we weren't just going to get this polished, tough, strong superhero that does everything right and makes no mistakes. We got to see the mistakes. We got to see the struggle behind the mask. We got to see what the mask really is too. So, and then on top of it, the Other Tales, we got a lot of Catwoman, and I love Catwoman. I've been really having fun looking into that character and reading that character, and I really enjoyed the way that she was depicted in these stories. Very interesting getting her. I don't think we really got her origin, but we did get to see some of her early years and some of the connections that she's had, and we got to follow her on like this journey and really get to know her, and it was just a really good time, and I really enjoyed it. I have nothing negative to say about that collection. I feel like it was perfect, and it just brought me deeper into loving this character and these stories. So yeah, that was it. I don't have anything else to say. I'm continuing to read. Like I said, my next one is Batman Hush. I'm really excited. I think my list is like up to 40. I might be longer, but yeah, I plan on doing this probably every 10 or so comics that I read. I've been really wanting to stick to focusing on Batman, but I am opening myself up to different characters and different series. I've also been reading like Something is Killing the Children. I love that series. That has been so much fun to read. I just got volume 3 and 4 in the mail. I've posted about it on Instagram. I'm not gonna get into that. But thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know, what do you think of my list? What would you put at your top 3 for Batman? Thank you guys for listening. All right, bye.